Thank you. Good afternoon. I apologize for not speaking German. I'm sorry. My daughter is studying German. Maybe soon I will also be able. Thank you, Margit, for inviting me. It's an honor to be here in a beautiful city like Vienna today. To begin with, let me briefly introduce the institution I represent. The Mies van der Rohe Foundation is a non-profit organization under public law based in Barcelona, dedicated to the dissemination of modern and contemporary architecture. It was established in 1983 to carry out the reconstruction of the German pavilion at the Barcelona International Exhibition of 1929, a masterpiece by Ludwig Mies van der Rohe and Lili Reich. This reconstruction was completed in 1986 by the architects Ignacio da Sola Morales, Cristian Cirisi, and Fernando Ramos. I will not talk about the Barcelona Pavilion today or about the incredible story of its reconstruction, but if you are interested, you can make me questions in the break or whatever. If you have not been able to visit it yet, especially to the young people I see in the room, I strongly encourage you to do so. It is an inspiring place, almost 90 years after being projected. From the foundation, we take care, of course, of the daily management of the pavilion. We attend the visits of tourists, students, local public. We carry out educational programs. We manage our small, specialized library located in the pavilion itself, and it's also online for your information. And we host cultural and private events. We also promote new research and dissemination of the Barcelona Pavilion and the contributions to the architecture of both Mies and Lili Reich. A year and a half ago, we organized a very productive symposium, Mies van der Rohe, Barcelona 1929, focused on new research on the 1929 pavilion, and we have just published a magnificent book that gathers and expands all the new contributions of that symposium. And you can get it online in our shopmies.com. Framed also in this line of work, this year we will present a new program of the foundation. And I'm glad to say it today, 8 March, to the audience. The Lili Reich Scholarship for Equality in Architecture. In the first edition, thank you. In the first edition, well, for those that don't know who's Lili Reich, she was partner of Mies van der Rohe for 15 years, and together as an artistic couple, they produce incredible new trends and ways of presenting exhibitions, interior spaces. You have this German word, which is total piece of art, right? Architecture, furniture, finishing interiors. All these that seem so natural to us today was created by them both together as a working couple. History has left her behind, and this scholarship is aimed to support not only the research on her productions, which will be the first, let's say, the first year edition will be devoted to her, but in the near future, any other architectures that have been unfairly left behind due to the conditions of the authors not being, white, male from Western countries, will be supported by this grant. Also today, let me remind you that I am here working, but I should be on strike. In my home country, there is a general strike, so no woman is today at work. No woman is doing the houseworks. No woman is taking the children to the school today. Good? So just for your information, I am, I don't know what's the English word. I'm not doing that part, but I was on a strike this morning, so half I made my part. I will speak again a little later about feminism and architecture as a key factor to improve life, to improve architecture. Back to the Barcelona Pavilion. Our most spectacular program is, by nature, the Pavilion Interventions program. We regularly invite artists, performers, dancers, and architects to intervene in the space, transform it, reinterpret it, bring a new point of view. This program allows us to deepen our knowledge of the pavilion space, materiality, and atmosphere, turning it into a testing ground for architectural and artistic experimentation. This program also allows us to reach new audiences, expand our audience, tell them about the potential of architecture. One of our fundamental obsessions is that the more the public is interested in architecture, the more quality architecture the public will demand. We need general public awareness of how good architecture can be, or how better their lives could be when surrounded by inspiring and well-functioning spaces. Now that you know who we are and what we do, I would like to focus on the reasons why the Barcelona City Council, through the Mies van der Rohe Foundation, promoted the reconstruction of the Barcelona Pavilion. The municipality in those times, and also later, believed strongly in architecture as a tool to improve the quality of life, both physically and symbolically, spiritually. Quality architecture as a tool for empowering citizenship. Architecture which is able to encourage the pride of the city among citizens. The reconstruction of the pavilion allowed a move in the wheel of history, which, after the brightness of the happy 1920s and the revolutions of the 1930s, had plunged the city of Barcelona into 50 years of darkness and anonymity. Oriol Bohigas, as an architect, and Pasqual Maragall, as the city mayor, made it possible from the political power. The same philosophy was repeated across town and radically transformed the city. It was committed to get quality architecture in all new public buildings. Always commissioned through architectural competition, where quality of architecture and not the cost of the building was the main factor. Quality architecture as well in all outdoor spaces, public spaces of the city. Egalitarian and equalizers in all neighborhoods of the city, despite the amount of rent that people living in that neighborhood could afford. A policy of physical materialization of this Mediterranean social democracy that Barcelona explored as a way to improve the city. Healing wounds made by uncontrolled and speculative growth of the waves of migration in the 50s and the 70s turned into opportunities to carry out urban, global, city-scale projects with ambitious and inspiring storytelling. I am talking about all the urban and architectural transformations included under the 1992 Olympic Games umbrella, but which were much larger than the sports event itself. For those who have a certain age, the International Union of Architects Congress in 1996 in Barcelona, with thousands of architecture students attending massive outdoor lectures with architects dressed with the Barcelona football team shirt, swimming in the fountains, and all these funny stories about the star architects of that time. It was a really amazing pop architecture moment. At that time, all those architectures improved the lives of the people of Barcelona. If we want an opportunity for architecture to improve the lives of people, it is necessary that the political powers cleverly promote architecture and use it as a driving force for social changes and improvements. This model lasted for 35 years, until it seemed exhausted. The urgent improvements, the equipment that were missing, were built. The new public operations were no longer perceived as tools for improving the lives of citizens. Leaders changed, and perhaps they were less focused on improving the lives of their fellow citizens. The city architects and planners had settled into a way of working that perhaps was no longer adequate for the new times. In order for architecture to improve people's life, it is necessary for it to respond to the demands of its society, which recognize paradigm changes. We are now facing a different society. The challenge of major consolidated societies, the challenge of improving lives that apparently are good enough. So what are the new paradigms? Participation seems to clearly be one of them. It is a fundamental paradigm at neighborhood level or at transnational scale. Our societies have evolved and empowered citizenship thanks to economic prosperity, to widespread access to education, culture, information. And these citizens are not interested in enlightened despotism. They don't want everything for the people, but without the people. They want to be consulted, they want to participate, they demand to participate. In order for architecture to improve people's lives, it is necessary to listen what those people want in their lives, and finding the exact point of influence, the right moments for the participatory processes, the way in which these voices should feed, modulate, influence the architectural project is one of the most interesting challenges we are witnessing. A wise balance of professional knowledge and open-minded attitude is required. We are still on a trial-error mechanism, the only way of evolution of the discipline, I presume. I will now share some good practices of architecture, successful recent attempts to improve life through architecture. From this point, I stop talking about my hometown, Barcelona, and I talk about our home continent, Europe. From the European Union Prize for Contemporary Architecture, Mies van der Rohe Award, organized by us together with Creative Europe from the DG Culture of the European Commission, we witness changes in European architecture. We have nominated projects, we have a jury, and I have very little time, so I will go very quick. The jury this year appointed as finalists the Rivesaltes Memorial Museum, Ellie Court, Kannike Garden, and Katin Museum by Ricciotti, Alison Brooks, Lundgaard and Tramberg, and BBGK architects from France, England, Denmark, and Poland. In very different ways, these 4 projects deal with identity, heritage, context. The jury, by appointing these projects, was talking about the need for contemporary work to engage not only with the new, but also the specificity of place, history, and the culture of architecture. Also, they wanted to acknowledge the city as a background to our lives, to find pleasure and art in the less overt but no less accomplished production of the profession. I need 2 more minutes to finish, sorry. The winning entries were, for the first time, collective housing works. 5 social units as northern entrance of Brussels in Belgium, and the flat Kleiburg in the Netherlands. An amazing renovation of a massive concrete block from the 70s, renovated through a do-it-yourself strategy of those who were acquiring plots or apartments, following the master plan that the architects created. You can find information about both projects at our webpage, miesarch.com. But just let me say, the jury of the award, by appointing these winners, was talking about the appreciation of the normative which goes beyond the conventional, an outlook that could be summed up by Peter Smithson's words: things need to be ordinary and heroic at the same time. So I will leave it here. If we want architecture to serve and improve life, it needs to be ordinary and listen to daily real needs of those who use the architecture, and heroic to bring our spirits beyond the daily life. So thank you very much.
Yes, architecture as a tool to improve life. I think that's a very good motto for the festival on the whole, and the topic or the motto will be discussed within the next lectures. Thank you very much, Anna Ramos, and I think we will establish a network, or I hope we will establish a network in the future. Thank you.